Hello guys, how you doing? I've been wanting to make this video for some time. Um, yeah, so for since the end of last year, I discovered that I've had CPTSD. It's been an interesting discovery because I discovered I had CPTSD. I've had for many years. I've had it since 2006, uh, and now it's 2021. So that's a long time to have CPTSD. Um, and recently I discovered this book by this guy called Pete Walker, and he's a professional trauma psychologist but specialized in CPTSD. And guy's got over 40 years of experience, and he brought the book. Very impressive, very information dense book. And I jumped into it towards the end of last year, very intensely studied it, applied it. And now things are developing and I'm understanding what he was on about, and some of the stuff has evolved. Because this is my thing. I love to understand how something works, so I can more practically handle it better. So I want to jump into this video today. Is going to be about the CPTSD seal. CPTSD is actually a seal, and this will make more sense to someone that has watched Naruto. Because in Naruto, the guy has a seal that holds back his beast, and the seal has different levels to it. What the seal is basically a firewall system that holds back this immense amount of energy that is destructive and dangerous and not good for Naruto. Um, so the same thing is true for CPTSD, except it's not a beast or monster. It's um, it's an emotion. Um, and now you need to like understand what is emotion. I think that's like really important because often it's very commonly expressed an emotion is a feeling, right? It's a feeling. No, that is wrong. Um, an emotion is information that is not devoid of behavior. That's what uh, emotion is. So basically, emotion is is information that is a perception that leads to a behavior. That's it. That's an emotion. Think about it like this. E in the beginning, if you change it to I for information, and then motion is a behavior. So emotion, it's the information that creates a behavior. Okay, that's what emotion is. So, just simply breaking it down, get emotions of sadness, anger, happiness, joy, all those kind of things. But if I be honest with you, that's the basics. That's not advanced stuff just yet. That's just the very basics. Um, that's like knowing you've got to eat, you've got to breathe, you've got to drink water. If you don't do that, yeah, pretty bad. And then the more advanced is understanding, well, you get different diets. And, well, if you drink water that's got chemicals, that's not good. You're going to die eventually. And if there's some toxins in the air and you breathe that, well, that's not good. So that's kind of related to the emotion aspect. So if emotions, um, you have sadness and all that stuff, you have anger, but you have more complex words to define, the more intricate emotions, like depression or shame or anger, frustration or um, impatience, and all these things are representing emotion, a behavior, a vibration, you could even say. Um, so, I mean, um, so yes, you got that. Everyone has that, all right? Now with CPTSD, there are new emotions created, basically. And this is the thing with So you've got to understand, everyone, if you understand emotions like colors, if you want to paint a picture, you've got so many colors available to use to make the picture. So you've got, say you've got 6 colors. From those 6 colors, you can make a whole variety of other colors. That is basically 101 emotions. That's where you have the sadness, and then you have the depression, and then you have loneliness, and there's all sorts of variations of that one basic sadness, or anger, or whatever. And that's where you take those 6 colors and you make up more. Now, CPTSD is basically where there's another color palette added to the already present color palette. And that's why it's called complex PTSD, okay? So yeah, maybe you're watching this and you think, oh, how is this relevant to me? Like, um, our education on CPT is really pathetic, because Pete Walker, he really explains the dynamic with CPTSD, and he says anyone that was brought up with either neglect, at least one of their parents neglected them, or there was active abuse. And he says that basically neglect is just as abusive as physical abuse. And based on that, there's quite a broad percentage in our population that you could start to think might actually have CPTSD. And within our culture, it's such a common thing to neglect. Like, for example, someone begging on the side of the road asking for money, just ignore them. But you could just say to the guy, sorry, buddy, I don't have anything. But often it's preferred to just ignore the guy. And what is that? That is neglect. The guy feels like he's like, punished for just asking for help, which is very healthy. But anyways, like, this thing with CPTSD is very interesting. So jumping back into the seal and the palette, you got to understand that the CPTSD is like a defense mechanism. It's like it's basically like a firewall system that you get in computers that prevents the viruses to cause problems. Except the virus is not out. The virus is not outside. The virus is inside. The virus is the abandonment depression. It's you would think maybe it's anger, or maybe it's like fear. It is, to some degree, is fear. It's definitely one of the ones connected to it, but at the core, it is abandonment depression. So let me share something, so we can kind of jump into that a bit. So something I made. Okay, so these are the defenses for the abandonment depression. And what happens is, how it works is, each level is holding back a previous level. It doesn't exactly work like it's in sequence. It could skip from 2 to 5 to 7, and then to 9. That's how it can work. It doesn't have to go in sequence. And every level holds back the level. And what these are is their emotions, their behaviors. Their behaviors used to distract an underlying emotion. So someone may be trying to fight, or trying to fawn, or trying to freeze or flight, and that is a defense mechanism, a behavior to distract you from feeling maybe the perfectionism criticism, because it's painful, or the endangerment criticism, because it's painful. You don't want to face that info, because that info is too distractive for you. Okay, But then when you face it, you don't entertain it in like a negative sense. Just let yourself be aware of it, be present with it. It goes away, and then what the next level will show. Okay. Um, and then when that is done for the next level, say for 7 or 8, then eventually the 9th level comes, which is now how it's all kind of interconnected to the story of Naruto. Because the whole story about Naruto is this guy that he's born with this beast, that's sealed within him. He hasn't done anything to deserve it. He suffers. Everyone punishes him. He's disregarded. He's rejected. And, you think this is really not lacquer. He's not understood. And eventually what happens, he befriends this beast. He turns this beast that is full of hate, and he gets rid of that hate and turns it into a beast of love. And then his life does a complete flip, complete 180. And what was used to oppress him and hold him back was then used to uplift him and make him courageous and strong. And instead of everyone hating on him, everyone ended up cheering him, and he would lead the people and be a strong, dependable character to the people. And this is the thing which I'm coming to, which is the next thing, is that every emotion has a counter emotion, and that is this graphic here. And it's not maybe what you think. Maybe you think it's sadness and joy. No, it is not. This is just how they put it. Okay, this is something that's out there that people use to do emotional literacy, try to understand, like, what are they feeling. So it's just how it is. But my personal experience, this is what I think. I might be wrong, but I've been this. I have a good, strong, confident feeling that this is spot on, because I've also put into practical testings and found the results to be dependable. But what I've learned is, the opposite of fear is joy, and then the opposite of sadness is power. Sadness is like oppression, being held down. When you're no longer held down, you just go up. Okay, so you're powerful, you've been uplifted, all that uplifting, living up kind of stuff. Then opposite of man is anger, is peaceful. Opposite of being frustrated is just rest. So how does this apply to CPTSD? Well, essentially CPTSD is depression, abandonment depression at the core. And all those levels that show up, they are, to get rid of the freeze behavior, it's about focusing on the perfectionism, and then to get rid of the perfectionism is focus on the shame. The shame will dissolve the perfection, and the perfection will dissolve one of the 4 F's. And dissolving the shame or the fear is about dissolving the abandonment depression. So when anyone has that kind of behavior, you can realize this is them, this is who they are, this is their reaction. It's information, it's a message. It's nothing personal related to you. And you can start asking the questions for them. Maybe like, why is this person scared? Why are they feeling shame? What are the things in their life? Can you do something about it? Can you do something to prevent the repetition of this negative? Maybe it's for yourself. And then do something, and then watch. I'm sure if you do it, you're gonna be just so liberated. Yeah. So for me, to be honest, when I discovered this, I thought it was really amazing and brilliant, because it means that if you resolve that depression, all those other behaviors can't exist. even in a strong work society, because like I used to think that the work would infuse those negative behaviors, but it's not the work, it's the lack of the love, it's basically the neglect, the ignorance of who you are. If you can look after, not ignore, and continue to take care of just you and those around you that that are like the building blocks of the pillars to your life. Doesn't matter how much you work, like it won't make a difference. The good things, the lack of the good things is the problem. Yeah. So yeah, that's my video. Hope you liked it. You must have an epic week and catch you in the next one.